Hello everyone and welcome to my brand new YouTube channel. My name is theHunter and I am so thrilled to be bringing you new content from one of my all-time favorite games, The Hunter Call of the Wild. I have been a huge fan of this game since its first release in 2016-2017 and have been playing almost ever since on two different accounts, one of which was lost to antiquity. But thank you for joining me on my current game, and I am once again just excited to be lifting my voice in support of this game, along with some of my other favorite YouTubers, those being Hunter DD33, Lady Legend, Mel, Flinter, Scarecrow. Oh, hello, handsome. Where did you come from? But one of the reasons why I hopped on here and thought I might join the YouTube crowd was because I am so excited for the new Revontuli Coast update, and I cannot tell you how excited I am for lots of different things that's coming with that update. Not just the new map, which I've watched a few playthrough videos already just to kind of familiarize myself with what to expect, and I am so excited at the relatively open landscape that it will be providing. And then, of course, all of the animal reworks. That's one of the main reasons why I love this game. Is not only is it a super immersive hunting game, but just the visuals are so stunning. If I had an air freshener that smelled like pine trees and a constant fan on me, I honestly feel like I'm out in the Pacific Northwest hunting at Layton Lake, which is the map we are starting on for this series. Now, I am looking around, kind of taking a look at what's in the area. I am here active during the peak drinking times for whitetail deer, because I have been up until very recently actively grinding for a great one. My hope was to have one before the update and on Layton Lake, which was the flagship map when the game first came out. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to make the deadline before they reset all of the animal behaviors and need zones, and you know what? That's just fine. At some point, the grind just became too much for me, and I stopped playing for a few weeks just to kind of cool down. I mean, I came back on a time or two to hunt different kinds of animals and not get wrapped up in the grind, but still, I was always keeping my eye out for that great one, and I just don't think I'm going to make it. Before we get too much deeper, I do want to acknowledge the quality of my microphone. For some reason, I can't get my nicer one to work, and I wanted to really post this introductory video to my channel before the update goes through, because I thought it would be fun if we did a compare and contrast to what I currently have versus what will come out with the Revontuli Coast update. So here in a minute, we're actually going to jump over to my hunting lodge, where I'll introduce you to some of the trophies that I have accrued as part of my gameplay over the years, talk about a few stories from some of my favorite ones I wish I had recorded, because some of them even I think are simply unbelievable, and just kind of introduce who I am as a hunter and why I love this game so much. And if you stick through my channel as I develop it and grow it, we'll talk more about what makes this game so special to me. But to get started, let's go ahead and jump over to my lodges. Now, I have 3 of them, and there's a reason for that, and I'll explain it as I go along. But I am going to start with Spring Creek Manor number 2. I call this my Red Deer Lodge because the red deer are one of my favorite animals in this game. I love hunting them in Spain and in Hirschfelden. And I am happy to say that I do have at least 1 diamond, but it's not so much as a great one grind as it is for me just the majesty of these animals and the uniqueness of their racks. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I have 2 golds flanking the entrance as you start, but as you look at this one up here, take a look at his rack. It is phenomenal. Heavy on that left-hand side as you're looking at him, and a little bit janky over on the right. I really enjoy that about the red deer, that sometimes the configuration is just wild. And then we have another similar one over here that splits a little bit more further back, and again a little bit bulky to the left and a little narrow and splintery on the right. I'm not going to introduce that fellow right there because that is, well, we can go ahead. This is my diamond. I think this is the smaller diamond rack, but I do like the symmetry in it, which is why he's front and center in my lodge, and I absolutely love him. He wasn't too exciting of a hunt. I found him in Spain along the river after following some advice I had gleaned from YouTubers on when to start that hunt and run along that river. You start at 5:40 in the morning at this one particular lodge, and then you just, or rather hunting cabin, and then you just run along the river, and there were red deer everywhere, and I really, really found that to be a fascinating hunt. But lots of these are golds, both from Hirschfelden and Spain, mostly Spain, because, you know, they just repopulate so well, and I just love the look of these animals. So this is my red deer lodge. It's not super full right now because, again, I've been doing that Great One grind for a while. I do want to get back to hunting these beauties before too long here, because I would like to find the majestic Great One. I did see that somebody found a melanistic, and I want to say it was a diamond in one of the videos, and that is just amazing to me. What a beautiful animal. I was really jealous. Oh, yeah, I had a few more back here. Just some more, kind of a smaller boy right here, and then a bulky boy over here. But, oh, and I almost forgot about this one. This is my albino. Smallish, you know, he was just a silver, but still worthy of the hunt and to be displayed in the lodge. I do love the fur variations in this game. In real life, I am deeply fascinated by fur variations and color morphs in animals. I also happen to work in environmental conservation, so when I look at these variations, it still floors me how amazingly special these things are. So, but that's my red deer lodge. I'm going to run back up front, and like I said, there's still a lot more I could fill this place with, but I need to get back on the red deer hunt sometime soon. So that's Spring Creek Manor 2. I am going to jump over to number 1 now. This is my primary lodge that just has a mix of everything. And this is some of the most amazing stories that I've had so far. We'll start and we'll go over here to the right, and we'll just kind of make a loop around. These are my diamond gray hairs that I have harvested over time. Nothing special about them other than they were one of them I know I just happened to notice, and it was kind of a lucky pot shot, and I did get him, and I wasn't expecting him to be a diamond, but he was. And then this is my dark fur variation black bear hunted on Layton Lake. This was one of those where you're just kind of running along, and all of a sudden you see a track, and you check it out, and the track weight is just that high. It was like a 501 to 639 or something like that, and it was one of those that I did a long track out and found him in a rest zone and got a heart shot on, which I was very pleased with. I typically don't like long tracks if I don't have to do them, but when I am doing them, I like to pay attention to how the animal's moving across the map, and you'll see that if you stick around for more of my content. This little girl, I know she's not super special. She's not a major color variation. I don't even think she's an uncommon, but I did like the black with the white face, and I just really appreciated the beauty, so I wanted her to sit here until I can replace her with something maybe a little higher in score or another cool fur variant. But here is my albino roe deer, another surprise visit from an animal that I wasn't anticipating. Look at that face. She's like, oh my gosh, I got hunted. But yeah, that was one of those where you're just panning in a field, and all of a sudden you pan over and there's a white animal moving through the space. So that was nothing super special, but still a really cool variation, and a beautiful variation at that. And I'm not going to go over every single one of them. You see some of the ducks up here. I do want to point out that on my map, now everybody's map's different, and I really appreciate that, because if you do join multiplayer servers, it makes it that much interesting. But on my walls and in my map, I have so many piebalds. These are not uncommon on my map. I see them in almost every single flock. I don't know if it's a glitch or what. I know that for some people they're incredibly uncommon, especially the higher up in weight and trophy class you go. But I just seem to have them all the time. So I have a few piebalds in this lodge of the mallards, male and female, and then I just stopped hunting them after a while because I'm like, I'm gonna just have walls and walls and walls of these things. But I also like the blonde variation. I think it's beautiful. It's probably second to an albino, which I don't have yet. I have never even seen one, though the last animal we will cover in this specific lodge is my all-time favorite and does happen to be a mallard, so I am going to hold on to that until closer to the end of this tour. And then I have just my first cinnamon teal, which happened to be a diamond. Beautiful animals as well. So, and then I just have a couple of things that aren't super special. They're just really placeholders for now, just to fill out the lodge until I can add more cool things. Here it starts to get a little bit more interesting. This is my first access deer, and while it's only a gold, I really enjoyed the spotted fur pattern. It was one of those things where, again, like the roe deer back in the other room, you're just panning around, you see it, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. And then, of course, I have a piebald European bison. Now, she was also one of those pan and scans that resulted in something cool. And I almost thought she was an albino or a leucistic, just by her color variation. I'm sorry, the outline is so heavy. I hope they fix that in the update. But again, another beautiful animal. I love mule deer. They look so bewildered, like, what? Anyway, and then there's this big boy. He is one of my biggest moose that I have found on Leighton Lake. And he's just massive, shy of a diamond, unfortunately. Those front brow tines or shovels are nowhere near big enough, but the paddles themselves are beautifully symmetrical, and I love that about him. One of my biggest toms from Silver Peaks, just chilling. Actually, I may have misspoken there. He's probably from Rancho, because he's an Eastern Wild, and they have Merriam's up in Silver Peaks, so belay that. But another just a placeholder, and a couple more of those piebalds I told you about. Here's the proof: piebald female, piebald male, too many piebalds. And this is my haul of whitetail, and it just kind of shows what the gold racks look like, and they're so different in their variations. You know, they look similar. I can usually tell now by the height of the tines toward the back, not the ones in the center, but the ones just after, to the left and right, what size these animals are going to be. But just look at the differences in spreads and the spikes on and tines on each of the racks you see. Some of the times the differences are truly subtle, but that's one of those things I love about the game, because you never know until you run up and you actually look at them. So that's just a little segue there for my haul of whitetail, and then of course a couple of more things. I have quite a few diamonds scattered throughout. So rounding out the ground floor, we have this beautiful Cape buffalo. And if you remember earlier in the video, I mentioned that some of the hunts I have done are truly unbelievable. And this is one of those hunts I really, really wish I had recorded, because this was a level 9 legendary that I had been hunting for days. And it always either got ahead of me, or got spooked by me, or got spooked by something else. And I managed to track him to a feeding area, and it was one of those where they all started running because they knew I was there. It was bad wind, and I lined up on him, and I'm like, I'm just going to take this shot. And right as he came out from behind a bush, I caught him on the run, double lunged him with the King Apex, and down he went. And if you do stick it out on my channel, you might come to find that I am the queen of the Hail Mary shot, because I'm not scared to shoot through brush or on the run or any of that to try and get a trophy. Like I said, sometimes I really dislike the long tracking process if you don't hit an animal in a vital position. But this guy, I really, really wish I had recorded that hunt, because it's one of those where even I still can't believe the luck I had on that. So Queen of the Hail Mary is right there. And then, of course, my biggest diamonds front and center. This is one of my favorite whitetails. He shocked me. He was over by South Lake on Layton Lakes, and I just couldn't believe his size. I think he ranked like in the 270s to 301 range. And, you know, when you're starting to get there, you're starting to think great one. And I was like, whoa, this could be it. But unfortunately, he's just not the great one rack, but my biggest diamond by far. And this shadow kind of scares me. I'm like, there's his body and there's the long twiggy arms, and he's gonna hunt me next time. Anyway, so I do have another diamond on this wall. This up here is Diamond Dave, flanked by all of his dark brown friends. But Diamond Dave was another one of those long track stories where I kept seeing him on my map in various and sundry places, and I could never get the shot. I tried, and I'm still learning with like the Kaliska and the Virant, the shooting pattern for that, because I'm more of a shotgun hunter. But Diamond Dave, every time I'd see him, I'd be like, that's Diamond Dave. I need to get Diamond Dave. And I finally got him, and he crowns my duck display in the center hall. Now this is my biggest boy for mooses. For Meeson. And again, those eyebrow tines and shovels are huge, but I think the paddles in the back are just too narrow for him to have been pushed over the edge into that diamond category. I'm still hoping though, and with this update, you know, moose haven't been my top focus in recent years, or recent months I should say, but they're still fun to hunt, and I'm looking forward to a time when I can definitely bring a diamond down. Couple another big boys. I'm not going to point out everything because otherwise we'd be here forever. But here is my diamond blacktail. Another one of those oh my gosh kind of hunts. I wish I had filmed that too, because he was pretty much in this pose when I took him, and it was a clean heart shot. And I kind of panicked because I thought maybe I had hit flesh, maybe in the leg, because of where he was standing there. I couldn't see below the neckline very well, and again, one of those Hail Mary shots, but I did get him, and I was very, very thrilled to have brought him down. Leucistic pronghorn. I confused him for a mountain goat initially, and then I realized his frame was just too small for mountain goats, and that's where he came from. My albino boys. And neither of them make diamond, but still beautiful, rare fur variations. I love how Lady Legend described them as being so bright and so front and center when you do find them on your maps. They do sparkle in the sun almost like diamonds, and I wish they had been diamonds. That would have been cool, but I still appreciate having them both here on display in my lodge, my primary lodge. Coming around, some of my more wild hunts out on the Virunga Savannah, and that is my first gold blue wildebeest. I have another one on display in the bedroom of this lodge, but that was my first. Awesome to see. We have my diamond mountain goat, another long track hunt. Very frustrating, actually, because when you think you're being quiet and you think you have cover, and then the wind turns on you, that was the story of this hunt. It was just bad wind all around, but I was happy to finally take him when I could. And another clean diamond. Okay, so this is one of my favorite rooms in the lodge. This is my room of oddities. It doesn't look like much. Here's my piebald coyote. Really, really mad at those trophy ratings, and you'll find that a lot of my coyote hunts are not successful as far as getting the max trophy score. I'm still learning their patterns. They're kind of frustrating for me, so sometimes I rush, and then I end up having what could have been a gold, diamond potential become a silver. But anyway, my room of oddities, these are my lopsided ones, my weird ones, my silly ones, this boy with his tiny, tiny tines, my poor moose over here, which I will swing around for you to see, just looking sad with his very, very small paddles there. brought my phone out like I'm going to take a picture of it, but I don't need to. And then I have a lopsided Roosevelt Elk over here. Very clear that the antlers on this boy are just so messed up. One of my favorites in here, though, is this boy here, because I have never seen a rack that low or that wide before in that combination. When I saw him, I thought it was a glitch. I thought maybe for some reason there was a glitch with the model in the head, and the antlers were just sinking into the head, but no, that was his spread, and I haven't seen one since. And that was a while ago, back in February, and I don't think I've ever seen one like that before. But with the True Rack system, you know, you can get so many broad variants in the antlers of these different animals. So if you have one, and if you've seen one like this, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to know where you hunted it, what was your experience with that. This boy is just bewildered again. The mule deer, I love this pose. They just look bewildered that they're like, why am I here? And then we move from my room of oddities, which I have quite a few I don't have mounted yet. I think I might make a whole other lodge for them, to just some more of my collection. Now this one was devastating. A Melanistic Coyote on Layton Lake. Tracked him for miles. Thought I had a good shot, and he turned at the wrong moment right as I pulled the trigger. And I was so mad. I was so mad. I hit him in the butt, I think. That was devastating. I don't want to remember that anymore. Moving on. So that kind of rounds out my lodge, really. These were some of my favorite of all time hunts. And as promised, I'm going to show you my all-time favorite trophy in this specific lodge, and that is this beautiful melanistic female mallard. Now, I'm not sure what the rework is going to do to her as far as just her presentation is concerned. I have seen the new waterfowl updates by watching other YouTubers play, and while I am excited for those updates, I just gotta say, with how dark she is, she just glitters gold because of the lighting in this room, and I hope she doesn't lose that, because I just love it. I love it. That's one of the things I absolutely adore about this game, is just the uniqueness and the chance of finding something so rare. It's almost like playing the lottery, but sometimes you actually win. But yeah, she's my favorite trophy in here. Even more so than all of my albinos that I've shown so far. So I do have, on that note, one more lodge to take you all to. And, let me run down to the main room, because I don't want to spoil some things. And I know sometimes when you populate from lodge to lodge, you can end up either in the same room or something similar. So this is my primary. And then finally, we're going to go to my safari lodge, which is my newest acquisition. I just recently got it, so I'm still getting to know the space and using the multi-mounts. The multi-mounts I thought would work in Spring Creek Manor Lodge, but I quickly learned that that's not the case. So of course I had to acquire this one, because there were a couple that I wanted to set on display uniquely, and I did just that. So I'm excited to show just a few of those to you, because this one is not heavily populated at all. 2 diamonds, my first diamond Roosevelt Elk, and then another Whitetail. I have quite a few Whitetail on that Great One grind. Couple of Miriam turkeys with that light brown color. I love that. I love how just different it is. And look at the detail on the feathers. You know, I know with the update there's going to get an upgrade to that, but even still, before the update, before the upgrade, they're still beautiful. I love them. And then I'm coming over here, another big old moose. Not quite a diamond. Wish you were a diamond. And a couple of diamond whitetails duking it out. And before I show you this, I'm sure you caught a glimpse of it as I was painting around, so I'm going to look at the floor. But before I show you my favorite mount in here, I got to tell you the story of this hunt, because it has something to do with these 2 boys. These are my 2 piebalds. One's a blacktail, one's a whitetail. I caught him first in a short succession of having acquired these trophies, and I think killing him spawned him. And this was along the right-hand coastline as you're looking at the Layton Lake map. I saw him one night, and I was tracking him, but unfortunately a personal situation had to get off my game, and I was unable to complete that hunt. And I came back night after night for about a week trying to find this boy. Finally did. Finally took him down. Wanted to get him mounted. Certainly did. Put him in contest with my whitetail over here. And then just for fun, a few days later, I went back to the same spot. And I caught the albino in this display here. Another whitetail going after a melanistic. Now the melanistic I found early on in this account, in my newest version of Call of the Wild game, because like I said earlier, I had an original count earlier, starting back in 2016-2017 range, I believe, and I lost that due to a data issue with my computer at the time. I don't know what happened, but in my new game, in the one I currently run off of, I had caught this melanistic very early on, and had him around in my primary lodge for a while. And then when I got this albino, I knew I had to set him up in contest on this multi-mount. And I am very much looking forward to see how the rework is going to change this image, because I've seen the models. They look so much better with the lighting. And this is the compare and contrast I really wanted to do, and why I am recording on a horrible sounding mic. It sounds like I'm calling into my own video, but I am genuinely curious to see how the rework is going to affect this model specifically. So those are my 3 lodge tours, and that's a brief introduction to myself as a hunter on this game. If you have any questions or want to know more, please feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments below. Since I'm new to the YouTube scene, I would like to make my channel fairly interactive. I only ask that things be kept respectful, because I think there's enough negativity in the world that we don't need to be reinforcing it. So, but I know the community around this game is generally mindful of that, so I really appreciate that too. That's another reason why I love this game so much, and why I love following it as much as I do. That's going to conclude my tours today. Again, I am theHunter, and if you like what you have experienced in this video, please consider coming back for more content. I'm not going to ask you to subscribe right away, because there's really nothing yet, but as soon as Reventuli Coast comes out, I am going to do all sorts of comparisons, draw comparisons from my previous experience, and hopefully get some really awesome hunting footage for y'all as I can. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!